Okay, wonderful. We made it. Gold stars for everyone. You found it. You got to the right place. You're here. You're on time. So gold stars for everyone. Well, welcome. My name is Allison O'Toole, and I am the Executive Director of Corporate and Community Relations here at the University of Arizona Health Sciences. And I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you to my two amazing directors. One, Anne Marie Medina, who's here in the front. And her birthday's next week, so give her lots of love and high fives if you'd like. And then also Caroline Berger is in the back of the room. She is our Director of Corporate and Community Relations. Thank you for applauding them. They are most deserving of an applause for today, particularly. And so Anne Marie and Caroline are our Directors of Corporate and Community Relations based here in Phoenix and then down in Tucson. And for today, Anne Marie is serving as our virtual liaison. So she is going to be corresponding back and forth for everyone that has joined us virtually. And then Caroline in the back, if you have any questions, she'll have a microphone as well. We'll make sure we get the microphone to you. That way our Zoom participants can hear the questions that you have as well. So we're very excited that you're here today with us. Since we have many attendees joining us virtually, some are from outside Arizona, some are from down the street on the Phoenix Biomedical campus. We even have some participants that registered as far away as Sydney, Australia. We thought we'd offer a brief overview of the University of Arizona Health Sciences. So let's take a quick look at this video. It's 2 minutes to introduce you to the University of Arizona.
Welcome to the University of Arizona Health Sciences. As the statewide leader in biomedical research and health professions training, Health Sciences includes College of Medicine Tucson, College of Medicine Phoenix, College of Nursing, College of Pharmacy, and the Mellon Enid Zuckerman College of Public Health. Together, they provide cutting-edge health education, breakthrough research, and a diverse offering of community outreach services. At the heart of health sciences, our employees, nearly 5,000 along with 4,000 students, makes us one of the top employers in the state. Our growing research and education programs are offered on 2 campuses, one at the main campus in Tucson and the other in the heart of downtown Phoenix on the Biomedical campus. The University of Arizona Health Sciences is a major contributor to UArizona's well-earned reputation as one of the country's top research institutions. And each year, we receive more than $200 million in research grants and contracts, providing vital funding to help address some of our most critical healthcare challenges. We are grateful for this support, which is fueling discoveries and treatments in areas including cardiovascular disease, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and now COVID-19. The University of Arizona Health Sciences is also in a unique position to affect change in a rapidly shifting healthcare landscape. As part of our strategic plan, we have developed a set of initiatives to reshape the future of healthcare. We are focusing our efforts on 5 important areas: next-generation education, precision healthcare for all, making wellness ageless, creating defenses against disease, and new frontiers for better health. Through these strategic initiatives, we have unprecedented opportunities to excel in education and research in more and better ways than ever before, and we invite you to join us on this journey. Please know that our dedicated corporate and community relations team is here to be your connector with health sciences. Thank you for your dedication and for all that you do to make our communities healthy.
Excellent. We just want to offer that as an overview. That way you have a better sense of all that University of Arizona Health Sciences is, and then our 5 colleges that we represent. So as we kick off our HealthTech Connect event today, as I mentioned, we're thrilled to be able to see you here. Just a few housekeeping items to cover. The conference room across the hall from us, room 112, is open for you today. Should you need to step out, take a phone call, you're welcome to utilize that room, so feel free. Also, we really wanted to utilize our LinkedIn group, which is our HealthTech Connect LinkedIn group today. And so we're encouraging you to use that group as a way to share your contact information with colleagues in the room and online, to add any feedback that you'd like to contribute to the conversation today. And so feel free to connect on the LinkedIn group, and we'd be excited to stay engaged even after our event today. And then if you're bonus point, if you're on Twitter or any other social media outlet and you happen to post any social media posts today, you're welcome to use the hashtag HealthTech Connect, and then you can also tag us at AZ Health. So now we've got our housekeeping out of the way. So we wanted to say, why are we all sitting here today? What is HealthTech Connect? Well, we're hoping that you can help us figure out what is HealthTech Connect. That's kind of the goal of the day. We have some guardrails up to be able to spur some conversation, but we really see this as a consortium, which means that you will help decide the next steps for HealthTech Connect for this particular ecosystem and consortium. So we're thrilled to have you here today. We would also like to say a very special thanks to our event sponsor, the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. The Phoenix Biomedical Campus has provided and hosted our reception after we're finished with our work today. And so we want to say thank you to the PBC for your generosity of being a sponsor for our event today. So HealthTech Connect was an idea and a vision of our Senior Vice President of Health Sciences, Dr. Michael Dake. And he really expressed this idea of maybe having a conference or more opportunities to spur collaboration, innovation, partnerships. And that really was the vision of HealthTech Connect. So our goals are to listen, to learn, and engage with each other. And then, of course, lift up Phoenix and Arizona as a state. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Michael Dake as he provides official welcome remarks for our first and our inaugural HealthTech Connect.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Dake. I'm the Senior Vice President of Health Sciences at the University of Arizona, and I want to thank you for being a part of this exciting HealthTech Connect kickoff event. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in Phoenix with you, but I wanted to share my thoughts via video about what I believe to be a truly transformative opportunity to advance health technology in Arizona. The actual cradle of HealthTech Connect was the University of Arizona Health Sciences, where we believed that there was a need to build collaborative relationships between the startup community, corporate, higher education, to increase funding and economic development to advance Arizona's cutting-edge innovations in health technology. As you know, with the pandemic, we had to put our plans on hold. We had some very interesting pop-up HealthTech Connect events that were really ready to go, ready to launch. But now, with the time that the pandemic afforded us, we were able to increase the number of individuals and stakeholders who could get behind HealthTech Connect. With an advisory board that consists of members of the city government, members of state government, business organizations, startup individuals, et cetera, we've really had a better chance to improve HealthTech Connect and really, I think, have the impact we always desired. And what is that impact? Well, we really expected Phoenix to really become a national emerging hotbed of biomedical innovation. And to really help fuel that, we thought HealthTech Connect could generate new partnerships between industry, research, funding, and academic groups that would increase healthcare venture capital and investment in Arizona. Hopefully, HealthTech Connect can form a truly collaborative network that will be sustainable, create synergy and connectivity through increased organizational efficiencies and effectiveness. And we hope that the community and infrastructure we can leverage with the resultant value of improved quality, productivity, capacity, and accessibility of funding to help fuel all of the startups and the businesses that surround it in an ecosystem that will really increase the tempo of delivering this to our citizens, whether it's e-health, whether it's better ways to remain fit, whether it's tracking, tracing, whatever it is, the concepts that can come from these collaborations, the faster we can get them out there and really to the benefit of our citizens, that's the goal. That's the priority for us. We want a strong, broad foundation of people who are interested. And we hope that by meeting quarterly, for a half-day program. This consortium that's going to grow is going to engage and connect the entrepreneurs, the startup community with the selected clinical, university, and corporate partners within Arizona. And I think we will be sort of setting the table, if you will, or being the caddy to put the ball on the tee and bring people together who can then obviously teach us, learn, connect with each other, and really help boost health technology information sharing and partnership opportunities around the state. Success looks like many things to different people, but I would say that in terms of health technology, hard metrics will involve number of new startups that are coming to the Valley, funding that's coming in, the whole ecosystem growth, which the city and the civic infrastructure is going to be tracking, I'm sure. And any role we can play in contributing to that growth, that's what success looks like to us. Hopefully, though, the relationships that can flow out of HealthTech Connect and the people and partnerships and relationships will really be the driver. And that's what HealthTech Connect is really supposed to catalyze. In closing, I really want to thank you for joining us today. It means a lot. And I think this could be a legacy event. Certainly the kickoff of anything, the inaugural HealthTech Connect is very special to us. And we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and hope you will support us going forward. And I look forward to being with you in person at the next HealthTech Connect.
Well, thank you so much to Dr. Dake for sharing his vision. Yeah, it's okay. You can clap. That's great. Yes. Clapping is good. We want to celebrate being here. And Dr. Dake had mentioned in the video, we had actually planned to launch this in the spring of 2020. So this is back in 2019 was when we were vigorously working on getting our plans together. And many of you in the room were working with us. And so this is a celebration for us to know that we've made it here to this milestone, which is really exciting. So University of Arizona Health Sciences, we really went out on a listening tour the last 2 years, and it hasn't been without many conversations with experts within the university, out into the community. And so I really did want to just showcase the partners that are putting this event with us today, including Tech Launch Arizona, Forge Arizona, Bio5, the University of Arizona College of Law, the Center for Innovation, and then of course the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. And I know that externally you might think, oh, well, I'm sure you all work together anyway. Well, let me just tell you, we have worked together more this last year than I ever have in the 9 years that I've been here. And that's really good. I mean, that's a benefit to the whole community when we can even find more synergies within the university to make sure that we're sharing our resources out with the community. So we just wanted to share that with you today. And then many other partner organizations, collaborating organizations that have been along this path with us. Speaking of, I would like to hand the microphone over to 3 of our partners, Doug Hochstead from Tech Launch Arizona, and then Claudia Whitehead from the city of Phoenix, and Dave Kreider from the Phoenix Biomedical Campus here to offer welcome remarks to you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison. I'm Doug Hochstead. I run what's called Tech Launch Arizona. If you're not familiar, we are the commercialization arm for the University of Arizona. And we've been actually working in this area in Phoenix for several years now, but in a smaller way. And this year, our group has decided that this is going to be a really important space for us. And we're going to really increase our efforts at engagement with the companies that are in the area, with the faculty in the area, with entrepreneurs, with VCs, et cetera. As Dr. Dake said at the beginning, startups are one of these measures. And right now, more than half of our pipeline of startups coming out of the university are life science related. So this whole effort is really important to not just TLA, not just U of A, but to the whole region.
Thank you, Doug. And yes, I am Claudia Whitehead. I'm with the City of Phoenix, and I lead our Bioscience Healthcare Strategic Initiative. And I first want to thank Dr. Dake and his talented team at the University of Arizona for the vision to bring HealthTech Connect, the consortium together and make it a reality. And yes, we were all ready to launch it just prior to the pandemic, but we are here now and looking forward to this type of convening is something that the city of Phoenix has envisioned for the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. It provides the opportunity for the great innovators, all of you who are attending and that are out in the community, creating innovations and impacting the health for others. And so we just want to thank you all for all of your dedication and the difference that you're making for the greater good and the greater health of the community. And because of all of you, Phoenix has been recognized as a top 5 in emerging life science markets. And so that's a huge kudos to all of you who are here in the room, online and joining us virtually. So we look forward to having great outcomes and collaborations coming out of these convenings of the HealthTech Connect. So thank you. I'll turn it over to David Kreider.
Thank you, Claudia, for the great work that you and the city are doing. I'm Dave Kreider. I'm the executive director of the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. And on behalf of my board of directors, which are the presidents of the 3 universities, Cruz, Rivera, Robbins, and Crow, I want to welcome you to the PBC. This is a really interesting place. There are 8 colleges among the 3 universities that are co-located on this campus and are interacting with each other every day. The campus originally was envisioned as a place for medical education, but you can see through the efforts of the city and a handful of entrepreneurs, the campus is really emerging as a place that incorporates an entrepreneurial ecosystem that is really taking advantage of the great work that the universities are doing. So this is, I think, the logical next step for the PBC to work with the private sector and create the economic development opportunities that we want. To have the University of Arizona take its strong resources that are available for entrepreneurial development and apply them to the PBC in conjunction with the work that our other universities are doing is a really big plus. And then finally, I want to say thank you to one of my superheroes, Allison Otu. Allison and I have known each other a long time, have worked in different capacities together, and it's always enjoyable, Allison, to work with you. And I know HealthTech Connect is going to be successful as we move into future programming. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We are very fortunate, as you can see, to have such a dream team assembled to be able to open up our doors of our campus. This is the People's University, so we want to make sure you feel welcome and included. And the corporate and community relations team, we are here to act as the front door to you. So thank you to you 3 for welcoming our guests today. In addition to our university partners, we have assembled a faculty executive committee. And so with this idea of HealthTech Connect really making more of an effort in Phoenix to engage with entrepreneurs, we wanted to make sure we had a robust team of faculty members to introduce you to. And we've actually already been doing this even before the official launch of HealthTech Connect today. So 8 Chili is a company that you'll be meeting later on in the program, was introduced to us by GPEC. We were able to have an initial meeting with our Center for Simulation and Innovation, and we have another meeting lined up next week with our Simulation Center down in Tucson. And then next week, our Division Chief of Cardiology, Dr. Roderick Tung, will be meeting with an international company that has a wear tech device that is also connected with an avatar to make sure that cardiology patients post-surgery are following their official protocol. And so we're already leveraging our resources and kind of playing matchmaker to make sure that we're able to take our entrepreneurs and introduce them with individuals and faculty members here at the University of Arizona. But this is just a part of the list here of our faculty members. And then Dr. Jake had mentioned we have 2 community councils, one in Phoenix, one in Tucson. If you're interested in learning more about these councils, please let myself know or Anne Marie and Caroline. The community councils stay engaged with quarterly meetings with health sciences to help learn about all the great work that's happening here, but also so they can share with us what they need as a community or what they need as an organization. So we give big thanks to our community councils for helping us organize HealthTech Connect. And so for those of you here today, maybe you're a company, you're a startup, you're thinking about starting a business, what is the benefit to you to being a part of HealthTech Connect? And I had mentioned access to the University of Arizona Health Sciences, our faculty, the resources that Doug had just mentioned. We'll hear from Brian here in just a minute. But also our health design school, our health design school, which is based down in Tucson. These are engineering students that are looking for projects from companies. They take complex problems within a company and they work backward to fix it as a part of their certificate and their degree. And so these are just different ways that we can work with different companies and organizations. And so just wanted to share some ideas with you. But also we are devoted as a consortium to really uphold the values of equity, diversity, and inclusion. So we're looking to you to help us understand different strategies that we might be able to execute to ensure that we have people of color, women in particular, represented at every level of HealthTech Connect. So today's agenda, we're gonna jump right on in. We have a packed program for you, but my goal is to walk out the door at 4 o'clock. We have a hosted reception for you. So I'm keeping our speakers on check today to make sure that we can get you out the door right at 4 o'clock, because I know networking is one of the most important tenets for our entrepreneurs and then for our faculty members as well. But we'll hear from Brian Ellerman. We'll have an organization spotlight from Cancer Fund, and then we'll have a facilitated discussion hosted by the Flynn Foundation. And then we'll dive into a panel discussion about the trials and tribulations of working with a large hospital system and learn some tips, some pro tips there. And we'll have a live demonstration from 8 Chili, and then we'll have final remarks from our Bio 5 director, Dr. Jennifer Barton. So that's our day at our lineup here. So as I had mentioned, I'm excited to welcome Brian to the HealthTech Connect stage. When I think of entrepreneurs at the University of Arizona, my mind goes straight to Brian. He's heard from me 1 million times over the last year, and so I appreciate him letting me pick his brain over and over and over. So Brian has put together a great presentation for you, which actually reminds me a lot of my business school days. And so I think that you'll find a lot of value in this. So let's give a warm welcome to Brian Ellerman.
Thank you. You can hear me okay? All right, just wanted to make sure my mic was on. So I'm going to talk today about the importance of an entrepreneurial mindset in healthcare. And I think you're all the ones who are going to help provide the context. I want you to be thinking about what I'm saying in the context of where you operate, what you do, what you see. But I'm going to do a little bit of autobiography, a little bit of kind of baselining, make sure we're all using the same terminology, understandings, and then a couple examples that should be of note that you may be familiar with. I want to make sure I leave time, so I'm going to keep my eye on the clock to have any kind of question and dialogue. And then, of course, as Allison said, happy to chat over cocktails at 4 o'clock as well. Always got to throw in the disclosure. I have invested in all of the companies actually that I'm going to discuss here. It is not a solicitation to invest, nor a recommendation for that matter. And all the information I'm sharing is not confidential. It's not proprietary. Also, these are my opinions, my charming disposition, and my inherent biases. You may sense I have a little humor to what I try to do. So what a long, strange trip it's been. I started to update the slide and realized that as of next year, it will be 30 years in health and technology. And no, I didn't start when I was 10. So I'll actually talk a little bit about that beginning, because that's what brought me to Arizona and what sort of started the entrepreneurial journey. 1992, I'd finished studying biology, chemistry, math, and studying oncogenes, and loved the stuff, but I never met a patient. And I thought, well, the whole reason I wanted to do this was I wanted to have an impact on people in their lives, and yet all I ever saw were test tubes, Drosophila, the boring stuff. And so I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York, and worked on a clinical pathology program to get my national board license. And I was working in St. Francis Hospital. St. Mary's comes later. St. Francis Hospital as a medical technologist during the program. And they had promised me this position once I finished. It was all lined up. Summer of 1993. Now, Dave, you're kind of my ringer because I know you know what happened in that area of New York in 1993. IBM announced an $8 billion loss and 35,000 job cut. And so every one of the patients that was at St. Francis Hospital just vanished as far as they were concerned, and so too went my job. So time to rethink, what am I gonna go do? So I finished up in 94 and decided Tucson was the right place to go. I wanted to go to medical school. Found myself starting a technology company because I loved how the pieces came together in health and technology. And every doctor I worked with said, why do you want to go to medical school? All you do is whatever the insurance tells you, whatever is prescribed. You don't ever get to, think, and you love data. Go be data guy. So I don't know, the third company I started in the 90s, it really hit it. We worked in automating the appointments for offices. We were able to help the doctors scan the abstracts from current research, so it made them all feel really smart going from meeting to meeting because they could walk in and say, I just read this fascinating article. And as far as the patient was concerned, wow, great, that's so neat, you're keeping up on everything. So I thought, okay, maybe there is something to this. And that was when I went to Eller and did the Master of Science in Management Information Systems. And I finished that in 2000, right in the middle of the .com world. And so I got a job as a chief strategist for a startup. My job was to try to evaluate the technology and figure out where's the world going. And every plan I would write, they'd look at it, they'd say, that's fantastic, and put it in the drawer. And after like the fourth or fifth one of these plans that got ignored and burning through about $7.5 million, company went under. I decided, thanks very much. And I went back to healthcare. Went to work at SunQuest, which became Misys, which eliminated the division I was in. So then I went to work on my golf game when Aventis called. Aventis was this Franco-German pharmaceutical company. They were looking for someone who had this marriage of science and computing. And so sounded great. I'll go do this consulting gig, then get back to golf. Little did I know 15 years would go by, 2 mergers, every day we'd show up, look above the door, see what the name of the company was that day. But Sanofi was where I stayed all the way through the end of 2017. In that time, especially at the end, I got to serve as the global head of technology scouting. So my job was literally to fly around the world and try to find interesting and innovative companies and see if I could line them up with the most pressing business needs. In so doing, I got to see incubators and accelerators and work with VC, and I really caught that bug. I loved that bug. That was so much fun to learn more. It got me into my own kind of investing, angel investing. So 2016, I started leading a global program to try to change the way that we do clinical trials, bring telemedicine to the trials, adopt wearable devices, et cetera. Fantastic opportunity, except for the 500,000 miles a year I was traveling, at which point I decided I'd like to see my home and my family again. And so I retired at the end of 2017. Turns out I really sucked at retiring, and my wife actually is the one who told me I sucked at retiring. So would you please go find something to do? And so the University of Arizona actually had a really interesting opportunity downtown to see what we could do with this historic building and turn it into something of a incubator, accelerator. Weren't really sure. And that was when Forge was founded in the fall of 2019. I will also give a quick shout out because I know folks like Tara Sklar are listening in. I also just recently completed the Master of Legal Studies, focusing in IP and health law. And I cannot recommend the program enough. It was fantastic. So who's this guy and why is he talking to us? Well, I gave you some of the who I am. Why I'm talking to you is I lead a unit called Arizona Forge, which stands for Finding Opportunities and Resources to Grow Entrepreneurs. We have three basic missions. The first is inspiring, cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset, which we call Student Venture Pathways. So you can guess, we focus on students. The second is advance the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We call that Forge Communities. We focus on the community. And the third is driving scale up and launch acceleration. This is that problem area that a lot of startups encounter. They're kind of too far along to be incubated, but they're not far enough to get invested in. And they sort of sit and spin and spin. So we try to work with those teams on a kind of a customized program to see how much we can help them. Our guiding principles are really clear: diversity, resilience, and purpose. Diversity and resilience, I'm sure you all have your own definition and no need to enhance that, but purpose is the one that sometimes gets questioned. What I mean is, I led innovation globally for Sanofi, and we did more innovation theater than I care to recall. You know, yes, that's so innovative. Here, let's give you money for coming up with the most creative solution. Except a solution to what problem? That was always the disconnect for me, was that we were innovating, but for what? To what end? So I really focus on this idea of an entrepreneurial mindset as shifting away from that novelty toward intention, i.e. purpose. So when I talk about entrepreneurialism, being an entrepreneur, et cetera, it's about focusing on those business ideas and that solve real problems, hopefully create more job opportunities, right? If at the end of the day, we're just solving the problem, but nothing happens, well then, did we solve the right problem? And then hopefully they're scalable within the private and public sectors. So how many of you consider yourselves to be creative? Oh, shy group, okay, yes. I know, don't worry, there's not gonna be a test, I'm not taking a photo, we're not gonna, all right, how many of you feel you're innovative? Okay, about the same number. How many of you feel that you're entrepreneurial? All right, so when I do this, particularly with large groups of students, creative and innovative tend to get lots of hands, and then nobody puts their hand up for entrepreneurial. So we literally exist to try to help students understand, yes, you are, and you can be. And it isn't, you don't have to go be a business major to be entrepreneurial. You can be entrepreneurial in healthcare, just the same as you can in agriculture, just the same you can in the fine arts. In fact, the dean of the College of Fine Arts once said to me, artists are the original entrepreneurs. They've been selling themselves since art began. I agree with them. So I want to do a quick baseline just of terminology, because these get thrown around a lot. When we talk about creativity, we're talking about the ability to develop new ideas, discover new ways of looking at problems. A lot of the time you see this kind of sequence, this preparation to incubation to an insight, right? That eureka moment, to evaluation to elaboration. And I just want to say bull to the eureka moment. Yes, there are the moments where we have like, oh, that could really work. But tell me whenever that moment of eureka immediately led to the success, as opposed to a lot more work that had to follow. Right? It's always iterative. It's always going through this process. Innovation is this notion of applying creative solutions to problems or opportunities. It's doing new things, which is what I was talking about before, that innovation theater. Cool, new thing, to what end? So that's where I call it E-splat, because it's like the wild card, right? It can be entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, entrepreneurial, entrepreneurialism. I don't know, if someone finds a longer word, I'll put it up there. What it's really about is that entrepreneurs connecting the creative ideas with the purposeful action and structure of a business. And that's really the key piece, is this notion that it's within a business setting. So ideas are super cheap, right? The world is full of them. And I know my colleagues in Tech Launch Arizona know this all too well. They hear lots and lots of ideas. Getting it to a sellable solution Wow, is that a process? Right, that takes time. And as you know, this scale is logarithmic. So we're talking about going from 5,000 ideas to one sellable solution. I'm going to throw in a quick plug. In that context, one of the things that we're going to be introducing in the spring to initially to students, but it will be eventually be something available outside the university. We call it Venturing 101. It's all the components of lean canvas, as well as a little bit of self-reflection, figure out what kind of person you are, what kind of entrepreneur are you, and then throw in some sort of elective pieces like around intellectual property and business formation, financial literacy, or ethical leadership and team building. So let me give you one quick example, two quick examples actually. Part one, how many of you know Cindy Jordan and Pix? Yeah, Cindy is a superstar. She is a phenomenal founder, entrepreneur, and I said already, I invested. Yep, I invested, absolutely. In fact, the day I heard about her company and that they were open for investing, signed me up. So Pix Health is really focused on an agent to work with typically older client who is going through feelings of isolation. And it becomes, Pixar is this little AI-based friend that says, hi, how are you? And tries to engage them and check in on them. Well, can you imagine what the COVID pandemic did to isolation? And so Pix, it might be hard to read on the screen. No, actually, it's not too bad. Pix saw a 2,000% growth following the pandemic, which is exactly what spurred investors to stand up and say, yeah, we're interested. So they got an investment from a private equity firm. I don't know if the amount is public, but it was a healthy amount to invest in them because of how much opportunity they saw. So I'm trying to equate it back to the point that, you know, Cindy went into this thinking about the individual person, her mom in this case, and what her mom must have gone through or must be feeling. This was an opportunity for her to try to engage with that kind of person and look at the expansion, 2,000% growth. It wasn't a super technical solution. In fact, I asked her if I could try piloting it, and she said, it's going to be a little basic for you. But you know, just to be able to see how it works, it's great. I mean, it just talks to you. It's how you doing? How's life? You haven't checked in a while. Everything okay? You know, stuff like that. It can be amazingly useful. Second example, I don't know how many of you know this company. So Science 37, they're outside of LA. Noah Kraft and his wife Belinda, both MDs. He's a dermatologist. They've been going through the challenge with clinical trials of trying to recruit patients to the trials. And of course, being dermatology, it was the sort of thing where everyone kept saying, well, can't you just snap a photo of it on your phone and send it? But they didn't have a really good way to be able to collate that in the context of a trial that could be accepted. And so they started Science 37 largely around this idea of the fact that if you look at the numbers, 87% of people, patients, say, I'm willing to enroll in a clinical trial. Yet 80% of trials are delayed due to recruitment. That sounds to me like someone opened up a store, they filled it with merchandise, and then they locked the front door and stood inside and said, why aren't you buying my stuff? You know, if 90% of people want to be in a trial, but trials are being delayed by recruitment, something's not connected. And when you look at the underlying piece, a big part is geography. People live too far away from where the trials are being run. Often they're not aware of the existence of the trials. And sometimes they don't trust, you know, whether it's the big pharma thing or it's just simply, I don't know who these people are, that's not my primary care physician. And so their goal in launching Science 37 was to be able to decentralize the way that clinical trials are done, to meet people where they live, don't require them to have to travel unless, you know, they absolutely have to. And what they found is they were able to expand the reach significantly in terms of age of patients. So suddenly you had kids in diabetes trials who could participate and not feel like a freak because they had to have their parent come pick them up from school, take them down to be tested, you know, all in the middle of their day when they just wanted to be a kid. Now it's just an app on their phone. Likewise, in the older population, when you think about recruiting for trials, you're not recruiting just one person. If it's an older population, you're also recruiting a caregiver. Well, now they can run the trial where the person is instead of asking them to have to be transported back and forth. Safe to say that Science 37 has been well received. They're now a unicorn and they will be traded on the NASDAQ, I believe next month is the timeline, but it is this quarter. So they were part of the SPAC craze, I guess you could say, where they got picked up by someone who believes in them and put $200 million in additional funding in their pocket. So I want to bring this home with my take-home messages. I'm running right on time, so we can have time to talk and ask. The first is innovation begins with a validated need and a creative solution. As Chris Sacca put it, ideas are cheap, execution is everything. An entrepreneurial mindset is taking the solution toward a sustainable business model. And it's not enough to be a solution. A solution by itself doesn't create a business, it doesn't create value, and it certainly doesn't create jobs. The sustainable business model is what does that. Successful startups flex where they're strong and avoid where they're weak. One of the companies that I invested in started out with a immunofluorescent test, little adapter that plugs into a phone for sexually transmitted disease. Well, they discovered that the exact same underlying science for that works for COVID-19, and they immediately pivoted. Even though they'd been around for 5 years focusing on STDs, they just realized that the opportunity both to pivot into the pandemic, but also because of the need for rapid testing was so important. They didn't stick to the thing that they thought was sexy. They went where they knew they were strong. Healthcare, it's full of opportunities, but it certainly requires patience, expertise, and blind spot awareness. I have worked with far too many companies where the founder comes directly out of healthcare, knows healthcare, but doesn't necessarily understand how to translate that into a business. Being aware of where those blind spots are and pairing that person with someone who does is so key. And lastly, and this is my Allison bullet, there are wonderful examples, resources, and networks, such as HealthTech Connect, right here in Arizona. So shameless plug, if you're interested in learning more about Forge, visit our website, QR code will subscribe to our newsletter, and I'm open for questions. We have her.
So if I'm interested in Forge, how do you get in touch with people? How do they get in touch with you? What's the process? What do you have to offer?
So as mentioned, we were founded in August of 2019. Our beautiful building in downtown Tucson had exactly the same fate that HealthTech Connect did, which is have a pandemic dropped on top of it, so our grand opening never happened. So we are launching most of our programs, particularly for U of A students this fall. The Venturing 101 mini courses will come out in the spring, at which time we'll start to announce what we'll be offering outside of the university to the community. We also we work very closely with a large network of mentors and experts. We're always looking for people with that background to come volunteer, mentor our student teams, work with our resident programs, et cetera. So if you sign up there, you will definitely find out through our newsletter about what we have coming up.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Might need it. I think this gentleman had a question.
Thanks, great presentation. How much do you collaborate with, say, ASU with its HEAL Lab or CEI Gateway with its programming?
So the answer is today, not much, certainly not enough. We are working on trying to have a Forge presence here at PBC. We actually submitted an EDA development grant proposal that would help cover that. But it's something that we are absolutely open and interested in. I do talk on a fairly regular basis with some of the folks out of E&I at ASU, Jimmy Choi and her team, so.
And Brian, Mary O'Reilly, how do you go about building collaborations with industry and venture groups and et cetera? And how important is it for us to continue pursuing that?
Industry is vital because industry really serves as the ultimate validation that we're working on the right problems. Some of how we work with industry, I'll be honest, is we'll call it Brian's Rolodex. It's, you know, looking through who do I know, who have I worked with to try to bring those people in. But increasingly, we want to work through partners like Flynn and others in identifying those needs, because obviously what companies want to do often involve students can serve as the fuel, as the you know, the key contributor to those demands, those needs from the companies. And so in that regard, we're very open to expanding that network. To your left.
That was excellent. What do you see as the main challenge or a couple of challenges our ecosystem faces, and say called the Arizona ecosystem for particularly startups and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, well, how much time do we have? Yeah, I mean, so you condition it to the Arizona ecosystem, and I appreciate that because I think it is incredibly idiosyncratic. You know, Flagstaff have NASAT, Moonshot, they do an amazing job up there. I think there's some really great partners here in Phoenix, but Phoenix always feels, and I am a Tucsonan, always feels to a Tucsonan like a bunch of cities that all do their own thing, where Tucson has been small enough to get people to kind of row together on a lot of things. So the answer to the challenges of the ecosystem, one is I think it's breaking down some of the silos and getting people collaborating across those borders, especially when the border is Tempe, Gilbert, you know, like, come on, it's not that far, Chandler. I think the other part, it used to be people would say, well, there's just no capital in Arizona. It's all these other places. I totally disagree. I mean, we have some amazing players. Number one, some have relocated to Arizona. And in other cases, we're seeing on a regular basis, major VC and other investors who are looking at our portfolios. And in fact, so I sit on the board of Desert Angels. A lot of what we see in the screening panels now are coming from groups all across the country. So I guess the point is, if you don't see the connection, it's because you're thinking of it too geographically and not looking for the information resources that are out there that are easy to get hold of. And our goal is to try to connect people to them. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brian. As I mentioned, when I was in business school, meeting with the startup companies that we met with was absolutely the highlight. I found it fascinating to hear about the pivots, the twists, the turns. And I loved that Brian said there was never this aha moment. It was failing, starting again, meeting with more people. And so I think we can all appreciate that. And so thank you so much, Brian, for getting us kicked off. For our next presenter today, I want to say a big thank you to Ellen Owens-Carsey from the Arizona Technology Council, the MedTech Committee. When we initially met, she said, you know what, I want you to meet with Anthony and Jeff and Mara. I really think you should get to know them. And so just to speak to the friends that we've made in just a couple weeks, a couple months, but nonetheless, we're very excited to have our organization spotlight today be the Cancer Fund. and appreciate so much Anthony and Jeff being able to tap into their minds a little bit to learn more about some of the gaps in funding, particularly in Arizona. And so I'm excited to be able to welcome up our new friend, Anthony Bajoras.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, new friend. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, I might need that. Is it okay if I sit or can I stand? Okay. I've been at my standing desk all day, so this is kind of a nice break. Well, I'm, I just couldn't wait until I got here. I was so excited. So I see some familiar faces in the audience. I was getting mic'd up, so I didn't quite hear the last question, but I think it was something about capital. So I guess we'll talk about that for the next 4.5 to 5 minutes or so. So, oh, this is such a cool setup here. So you guys are probably going to think I'm doing this completely from memory because you can't see the monitor right up here, can you? I just gave it away. So who here has a cancer story? Anyone? A lot of us, yeah. So a little bit about mine. That's me, the little guy, and my father. Lost him about 10 years ago to colon cancer. But that doesn't make me unique, clearly, right? We have that in common. I think I saw most of the hands here go up. And if you're like me, you probably support cancer research and have been doing that for some time. But some of us want to do more. Some of us want to do more. And it can be difficult or confusing to figure out what we can do about that to really have a meaningful impact. And that's actually what started the Cancer Fund. It was recognizing, I guess, what you could call an opportunity. It could also be called a problem, the funding gap, or the valley of death. It sounds like that might have been the gist of the question that was raised just a few minutes ago, which is about how do early stage companies get funding? It's not easy, right? Within life sciences, it's, I think, even more difficult. And for companies working on cancer innovations, you may be surprised to find that it's actually extremely difficult. And I know this because what I've done over the past 18 months is identify about 200 of those companies, mostly in the US, not all entirely in the US, some from around the world, and collectively they're raising about $2 billion. So there's actually quite a few innovations out there with that same problem of how do they raise money. And one of the challenges that they have is that there's very few investors who are actually willing to take that risk or understand the space very well. So this is me, right? Former entrepreneur, had a few modest exits. I've been an angel investor for nearly 20 years, been an advisor, an executive with some technology companies. And I've also been involved in the innovation space for some time. But I haven't done this alone. As I mentioned early last year, myself and 3 of my co-founders here founded the Cancer Fund. So Ann Lowe, who's a stage 3 breast cancer survivor, Jeff Ray, who's in the audience, Jeff, you want to, that guy, who lost his father to lung cancer while he was in college, and Jake Snyder, who's also in the audience, which is a miracle because I feel like I just saw you across town like 10 minutes ago. Jake, whose grandmother was a 3-time cancer survivor until she died with a brain tumor not too long ago. The 4 of us together co-founded Cancer Fund. So, any social media fans here? The how it started, how's it going meme, right? So this is how it's going. About a year later, it turns out we're not the only ones. We've built a community of about 5,000 people. who share a similar passion for what we're doing. And we're excited to report that we made our first investment in the first quarter of this year, in a company that actually came out of the University of Arizona. And Brian, if you're here, was also invested in by Desert Angels long before we invested. So good for them. A company called Regulagene that we're very excited about and thrilled to have as not only having them in our portfolio, but having them as our first investment. So that's how it's going, but we're really just getting started. Our first fund is designed to make about 30 or 40 investments across 3 areas: therapies, diagnostics, and preventions, targeting a range of cancers. Just a start, but an important start. But we can't do it alone. So if you're one of those folks that's been touched by cancer and you share our passion, maybe share our story with friends that might be interested in it. Or if you are interested in becoming involved, join our community. You'll learn more about what we do, how we do it. And if you're one of those people who, like us, who really actually wanted to do more by investing, you can ask us how you can do that with as little as $500. And that is all. That's not my presentation. That's all I got. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And not just for your presentation, but like I mentioned, we really squeezed Anthony's brain to find out, well, what do we need in the ecosystem? What's missing? How can we help? How can we use our resources? And so thank you for letting us pick your brain. And we're excited to learn about new ways to raise money. I think that was a nice lead into the next section of our program today. And so I'm very excited to welcome up, well, first I'll just say that one of my mentors recently said to me, if you want to do something hard, do it in healthcare, which I think that resonates with all of us, right? It doesn't matter if you're at a hospital or if you're working in a lab or trying to pass through FDA. I mean, it's just difficult at every step, but yet we're all here today, focused. We want to be a part of this ecosystem. And so I think that just speaks to who we are. And so I am very excited to welcome up our friends from the Flynn Foundation. We can give them a round of applause. Mary O'Reilly, and then Juliet Gomez. Now, this next hour, you have been a great audience, by the way. We want to give you very big kudos. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. This is the time for you to share. This is the time for you to engage. We are so excited to have the Flynn Foundation ask and be our facilitator today. But back to the question of what are the gaps? Well, we want to find out what the gaps are, because that will help us build HealthTech Connect for our next meeting for the next year. And so some of you have come from other cities, or some of you are online today. Perhaps you know of a recommendation that we don't have in Arizona, or something that's worked really well. So we really want to open up the next hour to you to facilitate that feedback for us. So thank you both for being here. I'm going to officially turn it over to you.
Thank you, Allison. Thanks everybody for today and for inviting us to be part of this event. I'm Mary O'Reilly. I'm a Vice President of Research at the Flint Foundation. And this is my colleague, Juliet Gomez.
I'm Juliet Gomez. I'm Bioscience Program Manager.
Yeah, and just as a quick introduction, first of all, can everybody hear us? Okay, I tend to talk a bit low, so if I get low during this, just put up your hand and tell me to speak up, because people have been doing it all of my life. But just to give you a little background on the Flint Foundation and to put into context why we're here today. The Flint Foundation is an organization that has been around since 1965. Our founder was actually a doctor at St. Joseph's Hospital and Medical Center, Dr. Flynn and his wife, Irene, when they passed away. left really their fortune to Arizona. And it's our job working in the foundation actually to do good work with that. And I mean, they left us a very broad mandate saying it's for the benefit of Arizonans. We have 4 pillars that we're particularly interested in. We fund in the bioscience research and entrepreneurial space. We have a scholarship program for high school students. 23 scholars every year get a full ride through one of the state universities. It's really a good program. I think they have something like 600 alumni now. It's been going for a number of years. We promote civic leadership and run a Flynn Brown Academy program every year for 21 fellows. And also then we do some work in the arts, and particularly around sustainability relative to the organization and their financial health. In the biosciences, our areas of sort of focus have changed over time. And in the early 2000s, Flynn actually brought in an external consultancy group. It was the Battelle organization, who worked with key stakeholders and stakeholders from across the whole of Arizona to talk about, what is needed and what needs do we have as a state. And what emerged was the Bioscience Roadmap, which is a strategic plan for the development of the biosciences so that they actually become a significant, and this is really important, a significant player relative to the state's economy. So we're here promoting that. We obviously work, as I said, in the biosciences in general with grants. But that's why we're here. We're here to talk about how collectively we as an organization, we working with you and working with the University of Arizona can actually really figure out a little more about how to bring people together. How do we connect the dots a little more strongly? And how can we do that and help each other strive for these goals? So Juliet is going to start with the questions and just talk a little bit about, what an ecosystem is, and then we'll move from there. But this is a dialogue, and please, obviously there's a large crowd here. There's a large group of people on the on Zoom. We can't ask everybody their name, but we're really interested in hearing everybody's opinion. So maybe when you stand up, you could also say what organization you're with or what you're doing, so people actually know that this is a conversation and we're all part of that. Juliet.
Okay. Well, again, we hope to start this conversation about the goals and objectives of the coalition by talking to all the stakeholders in the bio community. And this is an opportunity to delve into your wants and needs, and in order to really strengthen our bioscience ecosystem. So the Ewing Kauffman Foundation's ecosystem building playbook says the essence of an ecosystem is its people and the culture of trust and collaboration that allows them to interact successfully. An ecosystem that allows for the fast flow of talent, information, and resources helps stakeholders quickly find what they need. As a result, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So let's start by talking about our strengths. I think it's always good to start with the good news. What do you feel are the strengths of the bioscience ecosystem in this state? And if you're in our audience, please wait for the microphone so the people out in virtual land can hear you. And if you're online, just open your mic. And Anne-Marie is going to be our scribe, and she's putting all of your suggestions on a Google Doc so that we'll be able to go through it later. So let's start with the strengths. What do you think are some of the strengths of the bioscience community and ecosystem here in Arizona? Let's go ahead and shout some out.
Apologies.
Yeah.
So we opened up the overhead mic, so anyone can start talking. Just so
That might be easier.
Even whispering, FYI. But so that way we don't have to run around the microphone. So you're actually welcome to just speak loudly, and then we'll be able to hear for our participants online.
Thanks. So go ahead. We know we have strengths. What are they?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can start. Wilbur Sue, I'm a cardiac electrophysiologist and Federal Health Director of the very exciting for me to see. Hearing about this, I looked at my background of what I've experienced before, and what this does parallel to some degree my Stanford Biodesign from
Exactly.
parts. And what's amazing about what we can piece together is that there's nothing that they have we don't have here. They have the programs that think of the latest medical breakthrough. So, for electrophysiology, we like to think we're kind of the geeks of the cardiology field. We have the voice, we have everything. And so every year we work with so many engineers from different companies, industry, innovate. And really, this should happen in our backyard.
Yeah.
And this can be in Arizona. I think this is very exciting. Like, by you to have this type of support. I have engineering background as well. Yeah, so I have a lot of enthusiasm to work with engineers. We innovate in our space for cardiology.
Great. That's great. And can I just make a quick plug, because I know we've one or two people here. Flynn has funded collaborations in translational science between clinicians and scientists, looking at developing products and services to benefit patients. So I see Sampath here from TGen. I know Philip is online from the U of A, from the bioengineering, and we have an open call currently. So whoever's interested, there's a document outside. But this is the type of thing we're talking about. We're talking about, like the biodesign model, it's really how are we collectively using our talents really strongly. I mean, it takes a lot of people and a lot of time, as everybody, Brian and others have said, to actually do this well. But we have the resources to do it super well, yeah. And really, I hope the conversation today just shows that to everybody, but also shows us where the gaps are so that we collectively can work on them. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Anyone else have some suggestions? Anyone in Zoom land?
Anthony.
Well, Zoom lands would chime in. So I'm Anthony, your manager of the campus fund heard from me about 2 minutes ago. Just one of the strengths I've found, I've been in Arizona on and off for 30 years, but for the past 20. And I think one of the strengths that I've experienced myself, and I know a lot of other folks that have come here, is how open and accessible it is.
Yeah.
Right. So, and maybe that's because very few of us are actually from here. But I do know that is one of the strengths compared to many other ecosystems. Is usually, not always, but usually, if you reach out to someone, they're open and willing to respond to you or help in some way. And I think that sort of neighborliness is unusual in most ecosystems.
That's the Roadmap Steering Committee refers to that as Arizona having the collaborative spirit, and it's true that people are willing to work with each other. Anyone else? We have a lot of strengths. Go ahead.
My name is Connie. I'm the program director for Informatics Fellowship here at the U and our Region Informatics I always say if it's happening in healthcare, it's happening in Phoenix. We got some of the biggest players in healthcare in the city. And then from an informatics perspective, for those of you who don't know, it's basically the science of information, how we use data to redesign healthcare delivery. A lot of collaboration between all the different health systems. We have one of the best health information exchanges in the country, and we're really always on the forefront of digital health. And you can use that quote. It's happening in healthcare. It's happening in
that's right.
I think that's a really positive start to the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard someone once say that, while Boston is so huge with healthcare, the reason they're so far ahead is they're a lot older than we are. So we're catching up. It's just going to take us a little longer.
Yeah, perfect.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
So my name is Amanda Lynn. I'm from TGen. I'm our education outreach specialist over there. I think this credit sometimes is really our focus on bioscience for the younger generation. So getting kids even before they're at college invested into the sciences and wanting to go to biosciences. Go any of those routes. So I think they're really good programs that are investing in the younger generation before they reach college.
That's true.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Is there a legislator?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Healthcare life sciences, we just started. That's been the legislative environment, political will, stuff in healthcare life sciences.
Yeah.
Disappointed at the law. Things happen here. for types of things you want to do entrepreneurs.
It's true, and they just started last year, or the year before, the Bioscience Caucus in the legislature. Daniel Hernandez was one of the people who founded that. So it's
Yeah.
very helpful.
And actually, interestingly, so yesterday we sort of hosted with others, the steering committee, the Bioscience Roadmap steering committee, we hosted what we call the Biopreneurs Summit, yeah? But interesting, Daniel Hernandez, who is actually in the legislators here, was actually the MC for the first part of that, so these people are actually really interested. I know a lot of people get a bad rap a lot of the time, but his advice to us and advice to people yesterday was call people, go and get to know them and tell them what's happening. A lot of people just have absolutely no idea about the quality of work, the quality of the services, the quality of the instrumentation, the standards of our researchers and our clinicians here. So I think it's really important that all of us here, and we have a section on communications, but all of us here really need to sort of get back to the old-fashioned, talking to people and lifting the phone and making those connections. So
And it's not just about telling them what's going on, actually defining what the biosciences are, because a lot of them probably have no idea if you ask them what does bioscience mean in Arizona. So
yeah.
it's educating them as well. Any more pauses?
Sept.
Supporting my idea on developing an application. And intelligently focus on biomarkers, but based on my life experience, so I thought I want to develop IoT applications that can connect to biomarkers. I didn't know whether I can just do it, like it's a data set. And suppose I submitted the grant, or I'm doing IoT application that kind of biomarker, so it was funded and really exciting time. I never imagined this kind of whole year.
That's great.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe one final comment from anybody?
Go ahead.
Brian.
Right home in Arizona. First up, the elephant in the room, how about the major universities that we have?
Yeah.
They're incredible contributors, they're employers, they're injection of ideas, they're facilitators and organizers. And I think that is a strength that a lot of places don't have. They may have a university, but they don't necessarily have the same kind of partnership we do.
And Brian, can I ask a quick question then as a follow-up to that? So if somebody in this audience wanted to connect with the universities, any of the three maybe in their locality, do you know, is there a streamlined way for them to do that, or who to call? Allison, okay.
Allison.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's exactly.
Great.
The Zoom participants are asking us to speak up. So if you could do us a favor and just speak louder when you can, that would be much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's get into the needs of the ecosystem. So what is missing in the bioscience ecosystem that would help us build a top-tier bioscience industry? And if you have solutions, we'd love to hear those too. So now I'm going to talk about specific areas. So jump right in with your thoughts. Okay, so first in the area of research, what are our needs in the area of research here in the whole state? Okay, there we go.
Local conferences. Most of our conferences happen on nationwide level or even world level, but very few conferences happen on a very Arizona-centric level. That especially the DI level, we see it at undergrad and graduate level, but not nearly in the higher levels. We have local conferences where you can know the person doing just down the road is identical to you in ways that you can collaborate would be ideal. So local conferences where you're talking to people that are 5 minutes from you, not 10 states.
Very good.
Great.
Anyone else?
Good. So we're not going to leave the topic until we have at least 5 points per. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm Craig Woods. I actually work with ASU and U of A in the Institute for Future Health, and we're a joint venture between U of A and ASU. It's my contention, and I think this is one thing that our group is exploring, is just access to all the resources that we do have. Just like within ASU, high performance computing, all of that. When you lay it all out and it's, one place that's easy to access, easy to, like a repository of all the different departments, facilities, equipment, pharma appreciates that. And so does med tech. And in terms of attracting sponsors for clinical research or R&D, something of that nature is starting to work well for us. And as kind of a hub to be able to centralize access to all of those different resources that would be available.
Great. Yep, we got someone in the back.
Allison, are you saying that people can't hear us on Zoom?
They were saying they couldn't hear, so we'll use the microphone to see if that works better.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Vivian Carmichael from University of Arizona Foundation Relations. I think that the Biosciences Roadmap does a great job of helping us understand where we need to go. I think one thing that the state of Arizona has not been good at is letting the rest of the nation know how great we are. So I think, we're a little bit too humble and not sharing enough about the amazing resources that are available here.
And communication is one of those topics we're going to talk about because that is a huge one.
Okay.
Any more needs for researchers?
Hi, it's Wilbur Sue again. I think here we have a prime opportunity to have an advanced program for fellowship and faculty to try to really glue this together on a consistent basis. You can assemble faculty from universities, from different departments, from the medical industry, from the hospital side, from different subspecialties. And that's how I can see that you can have a think tank, right? That's formalized. And then to have the continuing of engineering grad student who wants to take an additional year in a advanced fellowship and be a part of how to innovate, how to get started with seed money, to get into the space of whether it's patent creation, production, and kind of segue to a real world. And it's really in that gap between graduating in the real world really can be formalized in this think tank, and actually can be much greater. Because pretty soon with assembly of that think tank, you're going to have the really the notice of angel funds, right?
Yeah.
Because I just think back to some of the programs we've had, and really they're hunting for ideas and trying to figure out what to invest in some of these programs, because that's where the next biggest idea is. Formalizing that program will make that consistency and make that a recurrent thing every year.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
Dave?
Thank you, Allison. So Dave Kreider, Phoenix Biomedical Campus. We just completed a core research services study for the 8 colleges and the researchers that are on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. And one of the things that came out of that study was how little connectivity there was among researchers outside of the college that they functioned in or outside of their program. And just this need to build this connective tissue, this fabric, essentially a research community. And these are among people that are physically located in the same geographic space, but are operating within their own silos within their individual institutions. That's a relatively easy problem to solve. And I think we will solve that by some just very strategic community building. I think Flynn does a great job with that through the roadmap and the work that you do. But I think we need more of that in Arizona. I think what we're doing is extraordinary, but that connective tissue that evolves over generations of doing it is something that we really do need to work at here.
Sounds like that's becoming a recurring theme about the connecting. Okay, well, we can move on to the area of startups. And like Mary said, we refer to our bioscience entrepreneurs as biopreneurs now. At least we do at the Flynn Foundation. So I know that there are a lot of needs within the startup community. So let's hear them. And we know money is number one. So that's a given.
Hi, Rachel Mertensmeyer, founder of Rivia Health. And I want to thank the Flynn Foundation because we're grant recipients and it made a big difference in 2020. For us, beyond financing, talent is really a key need that startups have. And I think that there's a lot of talent in the education system that just needs to be connected and plugged into the entrepreneurial ecosystem that exists to ensure that that talent doesn't leave the state. And so I think that that's one role that HealthTech Connect can play is funneling internships and new job opportunities and connecting the two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, Rachel. So Anthony Bajoris again. I think this might actually be a strength also. I'm going to call it sunshine, maybe. So we've, over the past 2 years, I think had 10,000 job applications for roles with us or the companies that we're working with.
Wow.
Depending on the point in time, I probably need to go back and analyze this, but somewhere between 65 to 75% of those are from out of state.
Wow.
So there's plenty of interest in relocating here from talent. It's been interesting also that actually predates the pandemic. That trend was there before the pandemic. It just sort of escalated during it. So there's a lot of talent willing to come here, perhaps come back. Actually, there's quite a few of those. We see a lot of people that actually went to school here and are now later on in their career, or further along in their career and wanting to come back because they know what a great place it is. So I know that's not do we call them weaknesses? Can I call it? Okay.
It's both. and I will say, and this is a shameless plug, but Claudia had made, for the city of Phoenix, has made a video that they showed during the Bio International Conference about why Phoenix. And it's phenomenal. So if anybody has it, it's really excellent and it really shows our strengths, but it also shows why talent should be coming here. So I'm obviously Irish and I was home recently in Ireland and people were saying to me, Mary, why do you live in Phoenix? So I will tell you, I had that link and I showed them why you should come to Phoenix. And they were all going, oh, now we know, Mary. And now we know you're not coming back either. But, you know, this is such an attractive place to live that, you know, we should be really delighted. And I think now with the changing, you know, with everybody going somewhat remote or having hybrid, the opportunity for us is really to be able to bring what talent we need really to drive the economy. So.
And I know that
Claudia?
Rachel told me a little bit about an issue with that, and that the salaries that people are expecting are higher, and a lot of that has to do with the cost of living. Housing's a lot more lately, and that can also be an issue, especially if you're a startup and only have so much money to be hiring people with. I think Claudia's got a question.
Mary, thank you for saying that about the video.
Yeah.
It's just we really designed those videos to not only attract companies here, but also
to attract the talent. And so, but also to educate everybody about, you know, what a wonderful place we are. And so I would encourage anybody that that is looking for, you know, kind of sharing the story. It makes it really easy. And if you just go to phoenixesbio.com, and there's 2 videos on there. That's on the Phoenix Biomedical Campus, and then Phoenix's Bio, really the overall ecosystem. And so you're welcome to share that out with people, because I think it really demonstrates the connectivity and some of the things that everybody's been talking about today, and really showing the great assets that everybody has built here. So thank you.
How about some more needs for the startup ecosystem here and throughout the state?
We have one comment online.
Oh,
yeah.
good. Okay.
Jennifer Barton said that she agreed that a central repository of all the resources, facilities, equipment available would be very helpful. She said she knows it's hard to compile and more difficult to maintain, but it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are helping me get my steps in today. Thank you. Next time I'll wear sneakers.
Thank you very much. I'm Chuck Vivian, and I founded a small startup called Hipaa Medical, the telepresence clinical platform. I think we could use in this town a platform where diverse talent can meet. And what I mean by that is I've been in medical devices for 45 years. I've worked in robotics, has been vice president of sales for a few companies. I'm currently working with Boston Scientific, Abbott Medical. But I don't know a lot of people outside of my area of expertise. Marketers, me and a bunch of colleagues. Salespeople, I know them in droves. But I haven't written a line of code since Fortran back at the University of Illinois in the 70s. So, to be able to pull together that, say, oh, who's on your team? Well, I'm the CEO of me right now.
Yeah.
And to be able to pull together the talent, yes, I've got a great camera company with a lot of talent and depth, and they're pitching in. And, I've got some other folks who are pitching in, but people who are not looking for a salary, people who have some time on their hands, they don't have to kick it in full time. But if we had a mixer quarterly or something like that, where we could, somebody says, hey, listen, I'm a CFO and I'd like to be a part of something big.
Sure.
I'd like to meet that person, or someone who writes code and can actually speak English and, not just code, to be able to pull all of that together. So that's something that I think is missing in the community, not just here, but just about everywhere.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, it's a really good point. And I think this organization or this group and others are really working on that specifically. And it really is about bringing people together. But and hopefully with your help, we can continue to improve in that area. Yeah. But
That's
Great.
what we tried to do with our Biopreneur conference too, which this was our third one yesterday. And the first one was the only one we've had in person so far because thanks to COVID. But the one, I think, plus from that very first Biopreneur conference was the networking and the connecting with each other, because that's so essential. Biopreneurs are so different from every other entrepreneur. You have a lot further to go in your commercialization. You have regulatory, legal issues, all kinds of things that someone who owns a hair salon is not dealing with. And so it's important that there is that networking that is going on. Anyone else?
I've often heard, Chris, I've also often heard from startups that we work with that the investors here in Arizona aren't as familiar with the biotech investment model. And so there's kind of a disconnect between when you think as an investor you're going to make your money, right, in your ROI, and how long it can take for a biotech or anything in the healthcare and life sciences space to pay off. So that I hear over and over again from startups here in Arizona.
So you're talking about opportunities to actually educate investors or potential investors about what's needed in the biospace.
Right, and I think bringing some of the expertise from outside into Arizona to help establish that investor experience.
Okay, thank you.
And at our first Biopreneur conference, we brought in some investors from out of state, and they met with some of the biopreneurs we have here, and they were shocked. They had no idea this was going on in Arizona. And I think that goes again to telling our story, that we have to make sure we're doing that outside of the state.
We have two more here. I just wanted to add one quick comment. When we were developing HealthTech Connect, pulling a lot of inspiration from when I went out to Silicon Valley in our MBA program, and we met with all males. And I mean that when we went to Plug and Play, the pitch session was all males, and then all of the VCs were males. And my classmates and I, we looked at each other, we were like, well, where are the women? Where are the women and where are the people of color? It was very jarring. And so we really we didn't want to recreate Silicon Valley in Arizona. We wanted to create Phoenix, which really is strategic about diversity inclusion. So just as a bioscience industry as a whole, I just thought we could put that up there just to be intentional, to make sure that we're thinking about that. And then we have 2 more comments.
I was on the conference yesterday for biopreneurs, and it was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
It's, as an entrepreneur, I have a background, I have things that I have good knowledge in, but to put it together and pitch to investors and what are they looking for and how do you go about with patents, and there are so many things to do. So educating and supporting entrepreneurs would really be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's
And
something.
our help, it is helpful.
And I think Brian and others are, that's a key component of any of the accelerators, any of the, seed spot, any of that educational component and that engagement with, bringing entrepreneurs together with the other pieces of the infrastructure that they need to succeed is obviously top of mind for most people. And to your point earlier, it's something that we need to get better at. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alex Waddell. I'm the VP of Technology at Adobe Care and Wellness. One of the challenges that I personally have run into is I never really saw myself as an entrepreneur, but I found a need and developed an app and went out and tried to secure funding. And I guess I just don't know what to do. And I guess a challenge is, or something that this community could help solve, is help teaching young entrepreneurs how to engage with VC, how to put together presentations, and really, I find some of the people within my business are from a clinical background. They've got great ideas, but the business challenges we face. So I think just looking around at all these people in this room, you guys could really, there's so much knowledge here that I could just learn from. So that's a challenge that I'm facing.
Thank you.
Great. I guess we can move on to the next one. Next is in the area of education, as we're talking about, but also having to do with STEM, having to do with GME. What are the needs that we have in that area? Education. Anyone? That's one word.
She said funding, so let's support that. It's K through 12. We can put an asterisk by that.
Hi, Megan Connolly, Creighton University.
Hi, Megan, how are you?
Different than this area, but we have a new health sciences campus. Yay. I come from a development perspective. So I think what we're looking at now is the pipeline from getting Arizona students into Arizona universities and keeping them in Arizona.
Yep.
A lot of that is funding. A lot of that is also education on what all health sciences careers are out there besides just med.
Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome, Megan and Creighton. I think you had your opening as in September. Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. Yeah.
And while he's not a doctor, my husband graduated from Creighton in Omaha. So. Yeah.
But can I, just for clarification, when you talk about funding for education, what do you mean? Scholarships. Okay.
And I will say that this is addressing the diversity emphasis too, is that we want to get Arizona students into these universities so that they can go out and serve the communities that they came from in Arizona. That's huge. And a lot of them don't have access to, the funding that other students do. And so making sure that they have the scholarships in order to even apply sometimes. So that's money.
Okay, cool. Anyone else? I was hoping you guys speak up.
I think I'm going to piggyback off of that comment when it comes to teaching students that there's other opportunities in medicine besides becoming a doctor or working at the bench. And I know the universities can only teach so many things. opportunities outside of the classroom to speak with professionals who are outside of those two traditional spaces people think to go into, and educate them early on. You can go on this path from the very beginning. You don't have to start down a path you're not interested in and then somehow pivot into a different position in a company. Teaching them that all these opportunities across the field exist so that they go into the right track early on and can grow sooner, instead of finding out halfway through their career they need to redirect their entire career development. So teaching them early on that there's so many cogs in the bioscience wheel to make it work, and that they can pick any of those tracks, not just the two traditional ones we think of in bioscience.
So true. I used to do marketing for a law school, and I remember a document that said 100 things you can do with a law degree that are not being a trial lawyer. And it's so true. There's so many other things you could do.
You know, I'll expand upon that as well. I'm a veterinarian and I've been in human health most of my career. And when I used to teach over at Midwestern in the College of Vet Medicine, you know, I emphasize that there are a variety of different areas you can apply an MD, DO, PharmD, DVM outside the scope of clinical practice. You know, it certainly is something these students need to be exposed to.
That's true.
And then I'll go to you next, Sam.
So I do see the product of putting all this together as number one, problem solving and innovation, which is a process by itself that only can be done better with greater minds together, right? And we, you know, in my field, clinical medicine, we encounter problems all the time, yet we think about it differently. And we get calls from different industry, engineering school all the time out of state to say, can we come and watch you for a day? Can we see this type of procedure? We want to know what's making it difficult for you, because that's what we want to do problem solving with you. And that really should be done here because we have talents here.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. Anyone else?
Are you sick of hearing from me yet? Do I need to introduce myself again? No, okay, all right. So does anybody know the student population of ASU now in GCU? It's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands, right? So this is like, I've often described our labor workforce in Arizona as like a camelback, right? We have a lot of in school and recently graduated talent, and then we have a lot of early retirees, later career, not as much in the middle. In working with a lot of, there is a real sort of knowledge gap between what people come out of school with and what they're capable of doing in their first job. And I don't know that it's fair to put that on the universities, right? Like some of it is it's not a teaching problem necessarily. It's maybe a learning problem and what people are choosing and what opportunities they're choosing. And I think that this is one of the things that we encounter on a regular basis, particularly with people starting their career and looking for their first job, is, I don't know if I want to call it a sense of entitlement, but I'll call it a sense of entitlement, right? Where I have a degree, therefore, not only do I deserve a job, I deserve a really high paying job. And it's your job to train me, but I'm probably not going to stay around for very long for you to recover that investment, right? Not necessarily unique to Phoenix, but I think it's one of those, if you can come up with a solution to that problem, it could be training, right? Some of it could be education, right? But this is one of the difficulties we've had in trying to bring, Chuck, some of the candidates that may be more willing to work tend to be trying to get that career experience. But this is one of the challenges, right? Is educating some of those people. Well, if you want to enter that industry, you may not get hired right out of school. And what do you do if you don't get hired right out of school? What do you do, right? Do you wait? Do you keep trying? Do you go back for more education? Where do you get it? Do you work? Do you get an internship, right? Can you afford an internship, right? Can you afford an unpaid internship? And that's one of those, in terms of addressing some of the workforce needs and talent here, is can start there, right? If you don't get that first job out of school for whatever reason, there could be multiple reasons, and you're, driving for Uber or doing something else, right? Year after year after year, you're not breaking into it, right? So, and we encounter a lot of those people that want to be part of it. Sometimes it's their responsibility too, because they're not willing to do the work. So good luck with that one. I'll just throw that over to the Flynn Foundation.
No, I think, I always say, and it's just a personal thing, if somebody comes to me, like a younger person comes to me and is looking for some advice or, just, they're looking for an internship. Seriously, I always have to see a little glint in their eye. So they might be completely off, off base. They might be going down the wrong path, but they need to have we need them to have a sense of their own personal pursuit of something, their own sense of urgency in doing something. I think it's a really important thing for us to sort of try and get into their heads early is they are responsible for getting it done, and they have to have that glint and that hunger. And it's really building that into them, because it's useless if somebody comes to you and they expect you, seriously, expect you to do it for them. You go, are you joking? There's so many hungry people out here that will take, will eat your lunch. Yeah. So I think that's an important characteristic.
They're often unaware of that, right? Like they don't realize they're wanting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's probably for every job that they're applying for. I think Intel used to call it owning your own. Right?
Yeah.
The people that work there, not like we gave you a job, right? You own it, right?
Yeah.
Make yourself employable.
And I think you brought up something too. You said there are a lot of people just graduating, and then you have those that are new retirees or retirees with all this experience. If we could somehow bring those together as mentor type of situation, I think that would just help significantly. One of the things we hear from VCs is the one main thing they look for in a CEO is experience. And we've got a lot without experience, but if they had some mentors behind them that could help them along the way, I think that would probably help.
Yeah.
But we got them back there.
Hi, Greg Lottie with CEO from Cerebrum, and we do kind of hard things like bioinformatics for AP labs and genomics labs. We build genomics labs for large reference labs. Short version, I'm just going to take a comment back to Anthony. I've onboarded probably 5 engineers in the last year to 2 years. And actually ASU and U of A have been really good about helping me find this. And actually one of my last graduates came from GCU. So what I found is you have to go look for those resources, and they're not always available in terms of finding how to find those candidates. But generally the colleges do a pretty good job of giving you the ability to find new college grads and get out there. And they have a connection program, and I'm gapping on the name of the program. But what I have found is most of them that you come in, as long as they've got the good baseline, you can make it work. But the experience is usually very, very limited, and you have to sit down and you have to teach them. And so I give them the crash course in genomics, and then I get the crash course in, okay, here's what a lab really looks like, not from the bench side, but from the data side. And it takes about 4 to 6 months for them to finally figure it out. But if I invest some time in them, they're pretty good about it and they stick around. So it's not hard, but you have to look. And I don't think sometimes the colleges don't give you the greatest tools to find this. And maybe this is where HealthTech could kind of work a little better with ASU and U of A. They have the program called, I remember now, it's Handshake. And GCU has their own as well. And so I've been very successful in that area. But and the candidates have been great. So I think the local community here has done a pretty good job of at least getting a candidate out of a school that can pick up and learn and has some baseline skills to make it happen.
We have about 5 minutes remaining for this, just to give everyone a time check.
Ahmed from informatics, clinical informatics again. One other topic that I think we have to bring up when we talk about an ecosystem is that we really sharing is caring in the sense that anything we develop is not necessarily IP and it's only for me and you need to not work with me anymore. So we developed a no-show predictive model through our fellowship. One of my fellows did it, took it back to the health system. They put it into action. And once the fellow left, they decided that we want to put IP around this and got lawyers involved. And it got very messy. So what I always say in healthcare, you can't out-efficient one another, right? So it's collaborative in the sense that if you can predict which patients don't show up to an appointment, it's going to help optimize the efficiency of your clinic. So could there be IP around that? Of course, but then again, you're all trying to be efficient in your operation. So as we look to develop this ecosystem, we really have to be mindful that not everything is just to kind of put some sort of bank vault around it and close it off. It's really for sharing and for developing at all of our different locations.
Thank you. And because we only have a few minutes left, I think we're going to just move on to our biggest problem or problem area, and that is communication. And we have all of these resources. We have events, educational opportunities, stories, collaboration. All of this has to be easily communicated with one another. And this also goes about bragging outside of Arizona as well as inside Arizona about the research and innovation that's been done here. So how do we tell our stories inside and outside of this state? How do we accomplish this? And it's not just telling the stories. It's we've had at our interviews for our entrepreneurship program, we've had people that don't even know about the Arizona Commerce Authority and the resources that that provides. So there needs to be communication about everything that's here. And there are very successful companies that have made it and they know where those resources are. So if we can get all of that communication to the other ones, they can be successes too. So what are some needs or things that we could do to improve the communications?
Well, I'm happy to start it off as working in the communications department. We have to be relevant. So if audiences are on TikTok, then we need to go to TikTok to make sure that we're relevant to be able to share where people already are. So that's my tip.
I was just going to suggest connecting Slack channels because I think a lot of the organizations are on disparate Slack channels, and it would be great if we could have a united Slack channel, and that's pretty easy to do. So.
That's true. That's a good idea. And I think this HealthTech Connect will also be a main resource for communicating and connecting with one another. But about telling our stories outside of the state, even. Chris.
Also, maybe that biotech is global, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these pharmas are global companies, very big companies. We're kind of, it's surprising to me was when I moved here 15 years ago, there's only one international flight into Phoenix, right? And so that kind of tells you what the focus of the business is here in Arizona. And I think we should be able to tell that story more globally and reach out that way. So.
Very good. Actually, Chris, I think they've opened up a second direct to Frankfurt. So we're good.
Anyone else? Anyone online have some suggestions, Anne Marie? No?
We have one. Yeah. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'll bring the right over.
Hi, my name is Janet Rabeda. I'm director for the Stream Healthcare in Place Center. So I think I have some troubles before as well. I have some fellowships try to give to students, and I talk with the community college, and they basically told me that's a short turnaround time and we cannot work with you. Okay, that happened just a month ago. And I still have some additional fellowships. So I really want to find out if there is a way communicate. Of course, the good news is Caroline introduced me here. So we do have programs for students in the biotech area, and we do have programs for small business, okay, associated with other states. And we would like to connect with you guys. And then, so we're not just from UA or Tucson or Phoenix. We're also looking at California and Texas, where you have the good medical center over there too. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good.
I think, since we're running out of time, there are a lot of issues that we were also going to bring up, such as how do we bring the various bioscience organizations together in this state? And what entities should be present here in this HealthTech Connect coalition? So I believe that you'll be sending out information after this, this conference, and make sure you send your suggestions in, because we still want to hear about it and make this a very relevant organization. And two little plugs we want to do: our Translational Seed Grant Program. The applications are open. It's $100,000 for 18 months for researchers at academic and healthcare institutions. And then our Bioscience Entrepreneurship Program, it's $30,000 and a lot of benefits that go along with it. I know you've heard a lot of kudos to Flynn Foundation. I want to say we are privately endowed, so we're not looking for money or anything like that. It's just we're kind of the keepers of the Bioscience Roadmap. So we are also connectors. So please get in touch with Mary or myself. We are happy to point you in the direction of resources or make introductions for you.
Yeah, and maybe just one final plug, and I know we're running out of time. I thought we'd be standing up here like after 10 minutes going, what are we going to say? But we can talk a lot. But so thank you for this. But also Arizona Bio Week is coming up, kicking off on October 3rd. And for anybody who hasn't participated in that before, this is a really good opportunity just to see what's happening. It's a whole week of events. A lot of it is going to be zoomed in, or it's all online, which gives more people access actually. So don't be shy about checking these things out. And then if you have questions or want connections or you need to know people, and you're a bit don't feel like doing that, you can call us, or you can call Anthony, or you can call other people, and we can help you do that. So
and for AZ Bio Week, just go to azbio.org and look for events, and there's a whole category on bioscience.
That's a perfect tie-in to the last comment we got online, which was from Russ Shelton, who said we need to support existing groups such as AZ Bio, who already recognize companies that are in the industry.
And it's a joint. And then, but it's AZ Bio and the Arizona Commerce Authority. It's a joint effort. Yeah. So Allison, thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Mary and Juliet a round of applause. Thank you both so much. I wanted to offer a 5-minute break to stand up, stretch your legs. We have some snacks in the back. The restrooms are down the hall to the left. So if we could come back at 3 o'clock, we'll jump right in. We have an exciting panel discussion for you. So we'll be right back in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. 1 minute. This is your 1 minute warning. We'll find our way back to our seats and we'll continue our program. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask our panelists and moderator to go ahead and come up to the stage, HealthTech Connect stage. We'll get your microphone, Rachel.
Oh, right. Sorry. Wherever you want it.
You have pockets?
I do have pockets.
Yeah, that works.
Is that good? Okay.
Maybe I should.
Push that when I'm ready. Okay, got it.
There's not really anywhere good to attach it. Could you help me attach it on the back?
It's gonna be,
It's hot.
yeah, the mic.
Oh,
is
really?
on.
No, I mean, on. Yep, so
Gotcha.
don't say anything mean about me now, because I'll
Okay.
it'll be there.
I don't know how comfortable that is, but yeah, it is.
It
on-
works.
It's on currently, so
Okay.
people can hear.
Thank you.
Let's see, that's ours, right?
Yes.
That's us now? Is that right?
I think so.
Wait, do I need? You need a microphone as well?
Yeah.
Right.
We'll just go ahead.
Do you have
Place that in your pocket, or you can hook it to your belt, whatever works there. Yep. Perfect. And then we'll do this.
Right.
Okay. And just so you know, the microphone is on.
That's on. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right.
Okay, we're going to go
After
ahead
you.
and get started. I know I took a chance, but standing up is important because we are in healthcare for your circulatory system, along with getting some sugar. So wanted to bring to your attention for those in the room that maybe are in the startup sector.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I lost my clicker. Oh goodness, this is very small. I do apologize. I just realized how small this is, and I'm standing right in front of it. I just wanted to introduce you to the Center for Innovation. The more I learn about the University of Arizona, I've worked here 9 years, and I'm telling you, every single week, I'm still learning another center at the university, but this is an amazing place. The Center for Innovation, officially is a startup incubator network with outposts across Southern Arizona. Now, this is really interesting because I thought that this was a physical building in Tucson, which it is, but they actually support companies across the state, Flagstaff here in Phoenix. And so if you are a startup company, I want you to take down Eric Smith's contact info. He would love to meet with you. He said, quote, Allison, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So he wants to meet with you, see if you are a candidate to receive the mentorship from the Center for Innovation. And I know this is really tough to see, but these are all of the progress points that they will walk you through as a company. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention, more resources, because like we just learned in our last session, the lack of communication means lack of resources for a startup. So just so you know that this is available for you as well. Okay. Next up, I'm excited to bring back to the HealthTech Connect stage, Doug Hochstead from Tech Launch, Arizona, who's going to be our moderator for our panel discussion. So welcome to the stage, Doug.
Thank you. This is really exciting. So I'm very excited about this panel. I don't know how much of you guys have read ahead and seen what it's about, but we have some really great panelists to talk to you today. And rather than me try and get across all of their accomplishments, I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. So I'll start with Rachel. If you'd introduce yourself. And
hi, my name is Rachel Mertensmeyer, and I am the CEO and founder of Rivia Health, formerly known as RexPay. So some of you in the room may know us as RexPay. And yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Rachel. Hi, I'm Kiran Avancha. I used to be the Chief Operating Officer, so I got to be extremely careful with what I say. I'm the Associate Vice President for Innovation, Business Development, and Strategy for Honor Health. It's a new role that I have assumed, but I'm also a co-founder and co-CEO for a startup here in Arizona called Prism Therapeutics. I've been in the healthcare space for the last 2 decades. I'm a pharmacist, oncology pharmacist by training. My research is in drug development. I used to be in the bedside, moved on to the bedside, and had successfully did one startup that went into 8 countries, sold off, that had a successful exit in that first startup. Now this is my second startup while at the health system. So I'm coming in here to bring the perspective of being an entrepreneur in this ecosystem, but at the same time working in a health system as how the health system ecosystem really works as such.
thank you. And we also have one online, Ryan Harper.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I could not be there in person, but my name is Ryan Harper. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Cradle at St. Joe's down in Tucson. You can imagine being a Chief Operating Officer of a hospital these days is pretty busy. So I wasn't able to get down or get up to Phoenix for this, so I apologize. But I've been down in this role in Southern Arizona for about 3 years, been in hospital healthcare work my entire career, so for about 15 years. But I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who buys services, right? Someone who many of you are maybe selling to, and so kind of talk about what we see on our side.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Now, I'm going to start off with a few questions, but this is really an opportunity for all of you to ask questions of these panelists.